joining us now on our Book Talk segment. Great to welcome, man. It's really an interesting book, and he really took his subject to heart. It's called Being a Beast, Adventures Across the Species Divide. We're joined today by Charles Foster, who writes about nature. He's a Ph.D. in law and bioethics. He's also a veterinarian and teaches medical law. Very talented guy, and he's from the University of Oxford is where he teaches, and he joined us by telephone. Charles Foster with us, and Charles, good to talk with you. How are you?
Great, thank you, Doug. Nice to be with you.
Yeah, I had a chance to read through the book, and being a kind of a nature lover myself, but you really took it to heart here. You kind of live with, I guess 5 or 6 different types of animals to really understand what they're all about. Interesting premise.
Yes, it's a sort of extreme method acting, I suppose, if you can think of it that way.
And you picked animals that aren't exactly easy to get to know, right? Badgers was one of them, right?
Well,
foxes are another?
In a way, I suppose. But I chose them for a number of reasons. Firstly, they were animals that I at least began by liking. I've never really understood how people can spend 5 years writing the biography of somebody who's really unpleasant company. And it was the same with these animals. I started off by liking every one of them. I ended up by not liking otters particularly. But they also had to be logistically accessible animals. It would have been fun to write about African antelopes or Australian birds, but they weren't logistically accessible. And there had to be a fair amount of information available about how their sensory receptors worked and how the information was processed centrally. And they also had to be animals that it would be fun to try to pursue. So they had to be animals that lived in places that I would like to visit and that it would be fun to go along to with my kids.
Yeah, let's talk about otters. I've always thought they were kind of fun-looking animals. I've seen them in some of the theme parks. They look like they're kind of intelligent, and kind of the way they operate with they are able to open clams by cracking them together. So there's some intelligence with otters too, aren't there?
Well, they're smart in a way. They're canny, but because the rivers that they live in have been depleted by us of all the nutrients and therefore the fish that the otters need to live on, otters lead a really manic life. Mm-hmm. And that makes for little room for reflection. They spend all their time desperately trying to get the calories that they need to live on. And it works out that if you try as a human to eat the number of calories weight for weight that an otter needs to live on, you'd have to have one Big Mac every 4 minutes, or nearly 4,000 bags of potato chips every day, or 230 cans of baked beans. They have a resting metabolism of 40% higher than animals of comparable size. And when they're swimming, their metabolic rate is going 4.5 times that of a dog. And the fact that they've got to work so hard to get those calories in makes them snarling, vicious creatures. So if you want to imagine what it's like to be an otter, what do? Well, you stay up all night for a week drinking double espressos every couple of minutes. It would help if you have just come out of a disastrous, dysfunctional relationship, so the world seems all to cook. You should then have a bath in icy cold water and then have a breakfast of still twitching sushi. That's what it's like being an otter. And then at the end of your life, you should die of an agonizing abdominal wound, either inflicted by another member of your family with its vicious teeth, or be run over by a juggernaut on the way to the river, which you hope will have the fish which you need to survive. Not a great life.
Not a lot of fun being an otter. I thought they had happier lives.
Well, I was so shocked to find myself writing such terrible things about otters. I've loved otters since I was a child. I grew up on Ring of Bright Water, and I took a cuddly otter to bed, and write such awful things seemed to be a denial of my childhood, but there we are.
Yeah, I was surprised you just mentioned how many calories in their metabolism. I didn't realize that. They're always working, but their whole life is literally working. They have no downtime at all.
They have very tight margins, and that's something that we've done to them. It was the flowing of pesticides and sheep dip into the rivers, which killed all the fish. And in the less polluted days, they had much more relaxed lives, and they were much better able to be the kind of otters that we always imagined otters to be.
Another animal you were among or tried to live like were red deer. I guess that's a little bit different than an otter, not quite as manic, right?
No, but it was more difficult in a way, because they are quintessential prey species. Now, everything that they do, their whole mindset, all of their reflexes are conditioned on the assumption that there is a wolf crouched on the edge of the bush, which is about to leap out and nip into them. And that's an experience which is very difficult for me to replicate. I, as a member of my species, am basically a hunter. A hunter-gatherer, yes, but a hunter. I have been predated in my evolutionary history by wolves and lions, but I'm not quintessentially a prey species. So yes, I was hunted by bloodhounds in an effort to try to work out what it was like to be a prey species rather than a predator species, and it didn't really work. And I learned more about how to be a prey species by sleeping in a cardboard box amongst the destitute of London.
Did you learn things you didn't expect? Obviously, you learned probably more than you thought going into it, but things maybe that kind of surprised you doing this project about these animals?
I learned that it's possible, to an extent which I didn't think before, to switch on these long dormant senses, which we all have. We have all these wonderful senses which lie almost entirely unused. What a terrible waste. But just by paying attention to what our senses tell us, we can extract so much more colour and charisma and simple information out of the world by smelling as well as seeing, by touching as well as seeing. We tend to be dominated by our visual sense. So I've learned to pay attention. And I also learned a lot of empathy for the natural world, which had been woefully lacking in me before. If you do occupy anybody's shoes or anything's paws or anybody's environment, it's harder then to view them as prey, as something to be used. We react towards the natural world in a way in which, were we to act that way towards human species, will be regarded as frankly psychopathic. Our environmental policies are psychopathic. And I became much more passionately environmentalist as a result of crawling around on all fours in a Welsh woodland or rummaging through the trash cans of East London. Yeah.
Name of the book is Being a Beast, Adventures Across the Species Divide. We've been talking with Charles Foster today. Really interesting book, Charles. And you've got a website. Let our audience know where they can get more information about you and the book.
Yeah, www.charlesfoster.co.uk.
Great. Charles, pleasure talking to you. Again, hopefully we can do it again. Thanks for being with us.
Great to speak to you. Thank you very much.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America, isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles Media.